This video is for any Scientologist over 50. I really think it's very important that you take into account what is going to happen to you in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, or if you get sick. Dr. Ramani talks about narcissistic relationships, and personally, I believe that Scientology is a narcissistic relationship. I'm a never in, so I could be wrong, but it sounds very much like it to me. And this whole video is really excellent, but it's long. It's 45 minutes. No, not 45. It's a long video, sorry. That's just where I am in the video. It's a long video, and some people might find it too long. They might not have time to watch it. So I'm going to clip this part and just share my thoughts on it.
I want you to imagine the layers of an onion peeling away layer after layer until you get to the more solid core of the onion. Now I want you to imagine that onion is you, and that what is being peeled away layer after layer are the parts of you that make you you. To be in a narcissistic relationship, sadly, it's sort of finding yourself in a relationship that is peeling away the layers of you and then discarding them. Your humor, quirks, aspirations, emotions, beliefs, preferences, and hopes. One layer after the other. It's the only way the relationship with any narcissistic person can work. But here's...
This makes me think of kids who were born into Scientology, how their whole identity was shaped by Scientology. So in a previous part of this video, Dr. Ramani talks about your identity becoming or changing, or becoming part of the narcissist's identity. And that is definitely true for anybody who gets into that kind of relationship. And if you've been in it for a really long time, then you know. But imagine being born into it and spending 30, 40, 50 years of your life in it. Then this becomes even more, not significant, but it makes me wonder how survivors, people who get out, the second generation crowd, how they heal. It must take a really long time. Anyway, this is also for anybody who's been in a narcissistic relationship for a long time. 30 years, longer, 20 years. For Scientologists, I would say, get out. There is a way. It's called the Aftermath Foundation. And new foundations are going to start and are going to be, are going to start. But for now, the Aftermath Foundation is a fantastic way to do it. You have a way to get out, Scientologists who are in now. You have a way to get out. Somebody who's been in a relationship for 30 years, a marriage for 30 years, or whose parents, whose parents are still part of their lives, they can't get out. People like that cannot get out, or it's very difficult for them to get out. I know there are lots of female shelters and lots of, not that you have to be a female to be in a narcissistic relationship, obviously not. Look at all the Scientologists, so many of them are men. But regarding being in a relationship for a really long time, a marriage for a really long time, and finding yourself in the position of being stuck, there is hope. But just realize that as a Scientologist, you have an advantage that those people don't have. Take advantage of it, especially now during the Christmas season. See your family, Anyway, watch this and then we'll chat later.
The problem, it's not what you signed up for. You didn't know that that was what was happening. It wasn't literally like you said, okay, this year I'm just going to peel it all away. I'm going to discard all of my quirks. Next year, I'm going to get rid of all of my emotions. All narcissistic relationships, again, are a gradual process of undoing you. You may have written it off as compromise or obedience, or you internalized the shame that was thrown at you for doing those things. When we are in a narcissistic relationship, all of our layers get pulled away and discarded. And that just leaves a sort of functionary core, which is consistent with what lots of survivors of narcissistic relationships say. They say, I sometimes feel like I'm going through the motions of life. I get up, I keep the trains running on time, but I'm often confused, and maybe this is as good as life gets. It's not. First, you may wonder, why does this happen? Why did my onion layers just all get to go away? Well, because there's only one reality that's permitted in a narcissistic relationship, and that's theirs. These relationships are a slow eradication using a combination of techniques: invalidation, shifting between good and bad days, gaslighting, manipulation, making you believe you want the same things as them, shaming you for your ambition, calling you overly dramatic when you show emotion, insulting you when you attempt or try something new.
I think Scientologists, from what it sounds like to me, are allowed to show emotion, negative emotion anyway. So, I don't know. Let me know if you're out, what you think about that. Being allowed to show your emotions in Scientology. I think Dr. Ramani here is talking about, somebody in a long-term relationship or just being in a narcissistic relationship generally, not being able to express themselves.
Future faking you. These things take time.
Future faking. The OT levels, is that not future faking? If that isn't future faking, then I don't know what is.
And when they are done, you start to believe that if I'm just better, if I was just less emotional, less challenging, if I just go along with what they want, if I keep things just so, then all of this will be okay. The good day, bad day thing happens because they don't give a damn about you as a separate person. So if by luck your interests happen to be aligned with theirs, or you make them look good or feel good, well, then that's a good day in your relationship. On most other days, your needs, your existence, your wants, it's an affront to them. And that's when you see all of the ugly narcissistic patterns come at you. But those...
Sorry to interrupt this really excellent thought of Dr. Ramani's. I wanted to mention busy work. I think Scientologists don't have a lot of time to think about onion layers and why is this happening to me, that kind of thing. I don't think they have much time for rumination, for thinking, because they're so busy with busy work or being sec checked or having KRs written on them or being constantly hyper vigilant about being told on, snitched on, that kind of thing. I think this relates more to, or to me anyway, I see it as relating to somebody who's been in a relationship for a really long time, for example, a marriage, a corporate wife, makes her husband look good for a really long time, has the same needs that he does, the same wants that he does, and after, 30 years or so, 20 years, 10 years, they begin, well, maybe you're not making them look as good as they would like. Maybe you're beginning to realize that your own needs are different than theirs are. And that can cause problems. And I think that's why so many, you see so many of these top CEOs getting divorced after a really long time, like Bill Gates, for example. That could very well be what happened. Thank heavens she was able to get out. Not that I know anything about him, but his wife I'm talking about. But you do find that, don't you, that these really long marriages in high-profile people often break down after 20 years, 30 years. And personally, I think it's because, we know that, they need somebody to make them look good. And if, an older woman is not going to do that for the CEO or the man or the woman. Well, I don't really know about the woman, but I'm really rambling here, sorry. But I think Dr. Ramani really, is here. I think it's more relevant to that kind of relationship. So beware if you're 10 years into that kind of relationship. Make sure that you have a plan. And if you're a Scientologist, as I said, over 50, oh my goodness, definitely make a plan and get out now. I'm sorry I interrupted a really good thought with terrible ramblings. Here we go.
Good days make you think that maybe there is some control in this process for you. There isn't. No more than you can control the weather. It's their emotional space. You're just leasing space in it, and they reserve the right to evict you at any time you want and come in and tell you you're not doing your place right. So the longer-term survivor becomes the proverbial shell of themselves, that very inside core of the layered onion, that robot part of you that can get things done, but it's missing the poetry that's you. Your big laughter and capacity for joy and the silliness and the adventure and the courage and the ambition, all that stuff that's you, because none of that is permissible in a narcissistic relationship. The part that basically acts as a psychological servant to the narcissistic people, past and present, that's all that gets left after a while. I've worked with a lot of long-term survivors, those who have endured it from childhood, those in long-term committed relationships. And this shell, functioning, robotic core experience haunts many of them, which is why a major part of healing is to give yourself permission to find even the smallest joys and breathe them in, to journal anything to find yourself and find your way back to yourself.
For Scientologists that are still in, I recommend watching a couple of videos or one video of somebody who's out, who's having a great life, and know that it can be you. Or if it means smelling a flower or looking at the sky and admiring the clouds. I know you're busy, I know you're full of busy work, but if you've got to the stage where you realize things are not that great or you want to leave, do find a bit of joy for yourself every day if you can.
This whole process pisses me off to no end. Sure, we can get gaslighted and raged at and betrayed and cheated on and all of the misery that is the narcissistic relationship. But the sacrifice of so many people's good stuff, good people's good stuff, that's what angers me. The wake-up call for the world has to be that there's no pleasing them. To please a narcissistic person means that we have to become mind readers who have no needs, no feelings, no individuality, no autonomy, no hopes, no dreams, no aspirations, no achievements. And that we show up with what they want, when they want. We look the way they want, cook the way they want, work the way they want, screw the way they want, clean the way they want. Again, these relationships are psychological servitude. And what we know about servitude is that the employers, masters, people in charge have no interest in the sovereignty and separateness of the servant. They want them to do their job quietly and get out. That is not a relationship. That is a dehumanizing worker setup. You deserve better. I deserve better. We all deserve better. And the world...
Obviously, Scientology is physical servitude, emotional servitude. It's just servitude. And if you realize that, yes, you are part of a group, and it might make you feel connected to something or part of something really amazing, but just know that the narcissistic part of the Scientological relationship, which is the people at the top, they don't see you as part of themselves. They see you as separate. They see you as somebody who's there to do the work. And when you can no longer do the work, you need to get out. And they are not going to take care of you. They don't care about you. So remember that. But there are people out there in the real world who do care about you, especially if you have children you've disconnected from, parents you've disconnected from, siblings, family. Believe me, you might not know this, but they are there for you and they're waiting for you. And if you don't have anybody, again, there's the Aftermath Foundation. Give them a call, send them an email. Just connect with somebody else, somebody who's not in the midst of what you are, because it's very, very easy to become isolated and for you to lose time. And before you know it, 30 years is gone, 40 years is gone, and you're too ill to carry on working, and you have nobody. You have nobody, and you have no plan, and you have nothing. It is never too late, though. I'm going to remind you, if you're a Scientologist that's in, and you're thinking about leaving, which I don't think you'd be watching this if you weren't, or even if you're not, just know that there are people out there who are willing to welcome you. And if you have family, and if you have friends, and especially family, know that they love you, and they want to see you.
Deserves and needs to see you and your gifts. Start finding all those layers that were peeled away and find them and start gluing them back on. This is a slow, painful, arduous process, especially if this layer chopping happened as early as childhood. Finding your layers and gluing them back on is an act of defiance, of rebellion, and of salvation. The world needs the survivors to find their voices again, because without that, all we're going to get to hear is the noise, the anger, and the rage of the narcissistic folks amongst us. Thanks again.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Now here's the thing.
My channel is called Royal Musings for a reason. I started watching this actually because of worrying about Prince Harry. Now, from a Scientological point of view, that doesn't matter, so I'm not going to get into that. But if you can, watch this video. It's called How Being in a Narcissistic Relationship Changes You. Watch it if you can, and if you can't, just remember that there is hope. You can get out, and do it as soon as you can. This is the festive season. It's a season for families and giving and loving. So now's the time to get out if you possibly can. And if you can't, just hang in there and know that there are people out there who love you. Have a lovely day. I hope this has been of some help or interest, or even if it's just education or information. I hope it has. Have a really, really lovely day, and please remember to like, share and subscribe if this was of any value to you. Sorry about the heavy topic. Narcissism is a heavy topic, and Scientologists are steeped in it when they're in, and really, really find it difficult to heal afterwards. Or maybe they don't feel that it's difficult to heal, but I think a lot of healing needs to take place, and some people aren't even aware of it. Anyway, sorry about that. Have a lovely day, everybody. In fact, have a wonderful day. Smell the flowers. Look out into the sunshine if there is. If not, just breathe in the day. Bye.